Honk for Jesus, a short fiction. After completing a licentiate in theology and 6 years of seminary, and then a nervous breakdown, Carlton of the White Shirts was ready to begin his ministry. He bought a cheap 4-door sedan, a baseball bat and a bumper sticker that said, "Honk for Jesus." Then he adopted the policy, ostensibly for theological reasons, of driving everywhere at a pacey 30 kilometres per hour. There were two hazards of driving with Carlton. First, you could be blinded by his white shirt. He kept them celestially white. They glowed. And secondly, there was the abuse of drivers infuriated by a religious nut driving at 30 kilometres per hour. "Jesus drives in the fast lane," he declared, moved into the fast lane, and quietly thrashed it at 30 kph. Commonly, and I mean on most journeys, there would be a steady stream of agitated motorists roaring past, screaming out, "Get off the road, you loony!" But they would, as Carlton noted, honk for Jesus. There was a third hazard, actually. He might want you to engage in theological profundities or interfaith dialogue. In that case, you've entered into a minefield. You'd prefer to say to him, "Gee, Carlton, how do you get those shirts so white?" Often, as a passenger talking to him, you'd need sunglasses. He attributed their spotless brilliance to prayer, a good washing powder and prayer. It was always better not to engage with him at all on certain topics, or better to set up a straw man to deal with it. My straw man was my friend Farouk, who disagreed with Carlton on most theological issues. A hot one was original sin. We were roaring down the highway one day at 30 kilometres per hour, with cars driving past hurling abuse and honking for Jesus, when Carlton opened with the word depraved. "Depraved," he said. "Depraved?" said I. I thought he was remarking upon a family in a blue sedan that had just roared past, honking and holding up uncouth finger gestures, but he was talking about mankind in general. "The soul of man," he said, "is depraved, dead from the womb. Man is wholly and utterly incapable of his own redemption." "My friend Farouk says," I then began. "And what my friend Farouk says is that man is a humble but forgetful creature, but not depraved as such, or irredeemable as such, but often in need of a friendly reminder." This seemed like a more wholesome theology to Farouk, and to me. "Your friend Farouk," saith Carlton, "is he a humanist?" "No," I said. "He's a greengrocer." "Every man," Carlton went on, "must look into the pit of his soul and witness the seething cesspool of filth that abides there. What is depraved is the abusive tenor of some cars driving past, including the family in the blue sedan. It is an education driving with Carlton. You get to see perfectly sedate people, families, women, respected and well-adjusted, clean and regular, suddenly resort to vile and uncalled-for vitriol as they honked for Jesus. One time a quite attractive young lady was caught behind Carlton's ministry at 30 kilometres per hour, and after honking for Jesus loud and enthusiastically, when she could finally overtake, she let hurl a torrent of obscenities that, as they say, would make your hair curl. Carlton's white shirt remained unblemished. Her car races past as she cries, "Fucking Christians!" "Amen," says Carlton of the White Shirts. I even see a carload of dark-clad youths pounding out death metal drive up on the side, and when they encounter Carlton and his shirt, they all pull down their sunglasses before abusing him for driving in the fast lane with the finger symbolism of the devil. Carlton has the patience of Job. He remains forgiving. That white shirt, I understand, is his shield from Satan. There is, however, occasionally yet a fourth hazard to driving in his ministry, and it eventuates at dire moments of actual confrontation. Some motorists, especially in the western suburbs, are not content to honk for Jesus and to wave a benediction as they pass. No, their fury gets the better of them. One time my friend Farouk is debating the Trinity with Carlton. The whole characterisation of God as a father, says Farouk, seems like an unreasonably anthropomorphic limitation upon his omniscience, and once you put that metaphor aside, the second and third persons become unnecessary complications. Your friend Farouk, says Carlton, is he a nominalist? He might be, I said. He told me last week he was circumcised. Carlton scoffed. Old covenant, he said. Just at that moment we stopped at some traffic lights. A beefy gentleman in a Toyota Hilux had been honking for Jesus for several miles. At the lights he leapt out of his vehicle, stormed forward to Carlton's driver window and announced that he was going to throttle the little nut job. This is the point at which Carlton gives a quick prayer and, of a sudden, snaps into righteous anger. He is immediately and unexpectedly filled with brimstone. He too leaps out of his vehicle with shirt flashing in the sun, and he goes to the trunk of the car. From the trunk he adduces the aforementioned baseball bat, which he promptly holds aloft. His baseball bat is named the Just War, and he has had exactly these words engraved upon it. It is an important adjunct to his ministry. Ordinarily, as I say, Carlton is as patient as Job, as placid as the Paschal Lamb. He was a man whose nervous breakdown, you could tell, had led him to a successful course in anger management. But there is righteous anger, and there is the just war. I am sitting in the passenger seat. The beefy buffoon threatens to stain the white shirt with a bloody nose. Carlton calls upon the Lord. Do not think that I have come to bring peace to the earth. I have not come to bring peace, but a sword, he yells. And then he yells, Matthew 10:34. The beefy menace steps back, suddenly realising he has crossed divine vengeance. I watch in the side mirror as Carlton takes the just war in his hands, marches over to the Hilux and smashes every window in the vehicle as he yells, For he is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain. For he is the servant of God, an avenger who carries out God's wrath on the wrongdoer. Romans 13:4. He rejected the tenets of quietism, Carlton of the white shirts. Farouk had once offered him some flaccid humanist garbage about world peace, and Carlton said that Boutros Ghali was the Antichrist. After beating the crap out of the Hilux, Carlton jumped back into the driver's seat just as the lights turned green and we sped off again at 30 kilometres per hour, leaving the beefy buffoon to pick up the pieces. Christ freed us from the old law, he continued, resuming. You tell Farouk that God doesn't care what his dick looks like. It's what's in his heart that counts. St. Paul made it perfectly clear. I confess that I didn't know what my friend Farouk would say to that, but I'd ask him next time I was at the greengrocer's.